Mark Wolf, nice to see you. Thank you. I am a huge horror fan. Any horror fans in my audience? Yes, and this is our time. This is our time of year. I'm so happy. So, this movie, Daniel Isn't Real, I had the pleasure of screening at a film festival just a couple of months ago, and you guys, it is so good. And not only is it so good, but one of the stars of the movie is incredible, and he is here. And you want to come gather around. If you can hear my dulcet voice, you're going to want to come over here because the never before seen trailer is going to be premiering in just a couple of minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for director Adam Egypt Mortimer, producer Daniel Noah, and star Patrick Schwarzenegger, followed by their lovely moderator, the wonderful Miss Emma Fife. Put your hands together.
We have to set up our own name tags, so let's,
Yeah, this is a bring your own name card to the table situation.
Hi, everybody! Come on, get closer,
Yeah.
talk to us.
Come gather round.
We're gonna be showing something, so we want to make sure there's enough people to see it so that it's worth our while, or else we're gonna go the fuck home. No, but in a friendly way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sorry.
No, you're good, man.
I just got excited there. For a
As
minute.
Adam was saying, obviously we're very excited about this because we are about to show a never before seen full theatrical trailer for Daniel Isn't Real. Is that is correct, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody's seen the trailer before. Not even.
Not.
Have you seen it?
I just saw it.
I thought Patrick said he just saw
He
it.
just saw it.
It's great.
Dan, have you seen the trailer?
I have seen the trailer. So some people have seen it. Let's just show the trailer.
Yeah.
now.
Do you
Okay.
guys want to see the trailer? Assuming many of you in the audience have probably not seen it. Some of you maybe have. Has anybody seen the movie already? That's resounding silence, so I'm going to go with no. So for the majority of people, it seems, you want to give us a brief lowdown on what Daniel Isn't Real is about.
The movie is about a kid named Luke who's 19 years old, played by Miles Robbins, who is having a really hard time in the world, and his imaginary friend from when he was a little kid comes back to him, and the imaginary friend is now an incredibly gorgeous young man, played by Patrick, and at first they have all these like exciting adventures, and he helps Luke become a better person, and then it gets really dark as he tries to take over his mind and take over his life, and it becomes a warped, mind-bending nightmare world.
Now, this film it's adapted from a novel, correct?
Yes.
And so what was your relationship with the source material? Like, did it come to you?
I met the writer at a party, and I thought he was such a cool person that I immediately read his book the night I met him, and then called him on Monday, and I was like, let's make a movie together out of this book. And that was 8 years ago, because that's how long it takes to do something when you're like, I love this, it'll be amazing, let's immediately do it. And then
That's
4 years
also
later,
how-
I met
yeah.
these guys.
That's also how Adam dates, and it doesn't work well at all.
Dates? Yeah, like if you meet somebody and you're like, you're really beautiful, let's
Just
go on a
immediately-
date in 8 years.
I mean, in LA, that's like
That's
pretty
what
standard.
it was like with me, because I wanted to work with Spectre Vision since they first existed, and then 8 years later, we made a movie together.
And how did the Spectre Vision relationship come to be?
We were at a film festival called the Overlook Film Festival,
Yes.
formerly the Stanley Film Festival, and my partner Josh saw Adam's first film, Some Kind of Hate. Has anyone seen Some Kind of Hate? You got yes. That's where that $4 came from. And he was like, Daniel, you got to check out this movie because I run development. I watched it. I thought there was just incredible imagination and skill. I could tell they didn't have enough money, but so we met, and he pitched me this super kind of artsy-fartsy little thing he wanted to do, and I said, no thanks. What else you got?
I got half a sentence into the movie that I wanted to do, and I had like been practicing in the car ride the whole time, like, I got all these pictures, and then I got half a sentence into it. I was like, I want to do this, and he was like, we're not doing movies like that anymore. You got anything else? So any aspiring filmmaker, like, you always have to have so many projects that you want to do because most of them, the guy is going to say, "We love you. We definitely don't want to do this thing you want to do," and then.
Yeah.
But luckily, we had this amazing imaginary friend movie, and who doesn't love imaginary friends?
Well, and speaking of imaginary friends, Patrick, you do play the eponymous Daniel in this film, who as we say, is very like sexy and cool, but has a very dark side to him. Can you talk a little bit about your experience bringing this character to life?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that first off, I think what attracted me to the film was the idea that I got to really sink my teeth into a character that I totally wasn't, that I was the complete opposite. And another
He's
reason
not
why,
evil.
yeah, I'm not that crazy as in the film, but I think that this film and my character Daniel especially brings up this topic about toxic masculinity and mental health and kind of what's been going on, unfortunately, a lot more in America and around the world in the last, call it a few years.
Sure.
And I thought that what Adam used as this script and to use film as a medium to bring this topic into the light more so was something that really intrigued me and wanted me to get involved. But my character Daniel is kind of the epitome of that, of what society sees as that masculine way of how to live, and I pressure Luke to do terrible things, whether that's a sexual relationship or hurting people or messing with his mind. So it was a fun role to play, but a tough role, and I'm just excited to be part of it.
I do think, though, that brings up kind of one of the bigger points of the film, and I mean, it's right there in the title that Daniel isn't real. So if Daniel
Right.
doesn't exist, then it's not really Daniel that's making him do all these things. It's kind of, I feel like there's a lot in the film that's about our relationship with wanting to give in to that darker side of ourselves.
Yeah, wanting to give in to that darker side, and I think that Daniel represents, others. I think
Sure.
that, a lot of people, mind is confused of what they want to be versus what they think other people want them to be. And I think that's a big thing with again, going back to the idea of what is, masculinity, what is toxic masculinity. A lot of men today don't know how to act because they don't know what is it like to be a man, or what does someone out in the audience think that they should act like in order to be a man, and stuff like that. And I think that that's a huge topic that is portrayed in this film, and that Daniel and Luke's kind of relationship has. And yeah.
Yeah. Adam, would you say that's one of the things that really
Yeah,
attracted you
yeah.
to this story?
Absolutely. The more I was working on it, the more I realized it was like, it's about this idea that we're all trying to be a good person, but we all have this weird voice or impulse inside of us that's trying to get us to do bad things. And to turn that into something that can be really like externalized and visualized as somebody who's both seductive and in the demonic forms that you also see in the film. I feel like, for me, horror movies are all about taking a feeling that's really regular, that we can relate to, and turning it into something that's like really big and cosmic and crazy. Like, if you feel like you wrestle with demons personally, then I want to make a movie where somebody will literally wrestle with a demon.
Well, and speaking of, I mean, it looks like the film has such a strong, like, visual presentation to it. Do you think that you were drawing a lot from, like, literally, like, physically manifesting the sort of decomposition of somebody's mind?
Oh yeah, that's a part of it. He has to be sort of physical, so he's imaginary, but he's from the brain. So there's a lot of like icky, gooey, like tentacles and face melting things, because that's the way that you portray a creature or a character that lives in the physical recesses of the brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you, Patrick, get to do anything in terms of like sort of pushing yourself from a physical standpoint as an actor, like weird physicality, body horror kind of stuff?
Physically, I think that Daniel is a very, if you watch the film, which I hope you do, his physical is very, very confident. I mean, he's very strutting through all of his walks and his pace. His shoulders are back. He's a very confident guy. He's always standing up straight next to Luke, while Luke is more of a hunched over, bent, less confident person. So the dichotomy between the two characters, I think you can definitely see physically, and especially at one point, well, I don't want to ruin parts of the movie.
You are good at sword fighting.
Yes. Thank you.
Wait, you're
There's
good at
spoiler
sword
alert, a
fighting?
sword fighting scene
There is
in
a
the
nice
movie.
little sword fight in there, but I think that there is definitely a difference between me and Luke's character, and our physical appearances, our emotional, everything that's about us, and that's what makes the movie so fun is this character of Luke and that other total opposite character's voice in his head always telling him to act a certain other way, and yeah.
And we do see you in a bathtub full
Yeah.
of rose petals at one point as
You
well.
get to see me in a bathtub.
I mean, that sounds like a romance film to me.
It's kind of a romantic movie. It's,
Yeah.
you know, one man's romance with his idealization of himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also I think too the conversation of the thing that like what can be the most unknown enemy is what's inside your own mind.
Yeah, or your own mind, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
or
as
your
a
mind
whole,
itself. Yeah, absolutely. Now you did film this in New York City. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
We filmed it in Brooklyn for the most part. The book took place in New York, and I used to live in New York, so it was like a triumphant return to get to go back home to New York and film the movie.
Did you encounter any particular challenges filming in New York City?
It's really hard to shoot a movie in New York, and I don't recommend it to anybody.
Try filming a subway scene at 3 p.m. on a Friday and trying to make sure that you don't have to have any other extras in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
There was a scene that got cut from the movie because I really wanted to have a cameo, so I played a homeless guy in the subway, and we shot for like 2 hours where I was just like crawling around in like filth, in like actual filth in a subway, and like it was really disgusting, and I was all covered in blood and gross. And then we cut the scene. You didn't like the scene, so we had to cut it.
I was going to ask Daniel, did you venture to this guerrilla warfare that was filming in New York City at all?
I was not on set, but I heard all the stories.
But you were there to go, we don't need this scene in the movie.
I was here in the editing room after the fact. So, yeah.
Now, the movie's been out on the film festival circuit for a while now, and it's been getting very good feedback. What would you say are like some of the most surprising reactions that you've seen from people thus far?
So we've now been showing this movie for about, has it been just about 6 months. We had the world premiere at South by Southwest, and now I've taken it to Korea, to Spain, to Canada, to London, to Florida. And every single time we've shown it to a crowd, people have had a very intense, like personal, emotional relationship to it. So they'll come up and talk to me and this is a movie, mind you, that really does have like demons and melting faces and crazy shit. But the thing that's so interesting is the way that people will come up to me and say, I recognize something that happened to me in this movie. Like, this feels like something that I'm familiar with, and I haven't seen something that feels like this before. So I think we're portraying a state of mind that people are really connecting to.
Yeah.
And that's been incredible to witness that.
And what is that state of mind?
Well, it has to do with so in the course of the movie, we're trying to sort of portray the sense of somebody having a manic episode. So going from feeling depressed and isolated and lonely to feeling like really energized and confident, and then that going too far into this place of like exhausted paranoia and confusion and like not being in control of your own actions. And I talk to people that are from like, I had a schizophrenic breakdown, or I had a manic episode, or my mother had this kind of mental illness, to people who just sort of feel uneasy or anxious in their life.
Yeah.
And those are all people who kind of connect with the feeling of it.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here emphatically nodding at the talking about having a manic episode, because as you say, like it's so rooted in something that like truly is a thing that people experience. And so I think that is what makes really great horror, is having that emotional connection, not only on the level of, having a scared sort of reaction, but also the very heartfelt nature of it, because you want to root for the characters that are in the film.
Yeah, right. It's funny because it doesn't have a lot of like jump scares, So the first time I watched it with a crowd, they were like pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I've made the most boring movie ever. You were there, we both thought that. Because like, anytime somebody like coughs or gets up to pee, you're like, we've ruined everything. But then afterwards, like all these people came up to me and this one guy was like, I was sitting next to a total stranger and just grabbing his leg the entire time and like staring at him like, ah. So like people are terrified, but they're silently terrified, which ultimately is like more satisfying than just playing aloud, staying and having them jump. But it becomes just as much of a manic episode for me to sit there listening to people watching the movie.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add too that I think it is about mania, but it's about a lot of things. And you know, SpectreVision is a company that specializes in horror, and we spend a lot of time sort of navel gazing and trying to understand what horror is about. And I think a lot of horror is about loneliness, and horror speaks to people that feel like they're unique, and that there aren't other people out there like them. And then you see these quote unquote strange movies, and you go, my God, I'm not the only one that sees the world this way.
People feel represented.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Luke's character is very lonely. He has a very difficult time making friends, and I think that it affects me very deeply, that part of the movie. One of the things that's been surprising to me is the romantic feelings that a lot of people have for the Daniel character, who, you know, now Patrick's a very charming young man, but Daniel is not Patrick, and Daniel is a very, very devious, very evil entity, and you know, we've seen people tweeting about, I can't wait to see my boyfriend Daniel again, and I'm seeing the movie again, and it's actually been a little disconcerting to me. But so it's, you know, in some ways it's about toxic masculinity, but maybe, you know, even the way that toxic masculinity can unfortunately be a little bit appealing. I think.
Absolutely. No, I think for me, looking at it from that perspective, it doesn't surprise me at all that people have this sort of attraction to the Daniel character, because you're talking about somebody that is living really uninhibited, and they're just going for whatever they want because it feels good, even though it's awful and it's hurting other people. Like there is some appeal to looking at that, and again, that kind of circles back to that whole idea of everybody has these darker impulses in them, and we as human beings are naturally tempted to give into that.
And this is why it was important to cast Patrick, because like most actors couldn't just will themselves to be as sort of charming and attractive and lovely as this man.
He comes by the attractive naturally.
To start with somebody so sort of perfect, and then build a character inside of him who's evil. Like it's the ultimate zaddy.
Do you feel that you are the ultimate embodiment of evil, Patrick, now?
I guess I am. But no, I think it's been really cool. I think that first off, to get to display this film at South by Southwest was a huge kind of honor, and then to watch the reviews come out and just everybody loving it, especially in kind of the horror genre space, and all the hardcore fans, because it's a film, when you watch the trailer, it's something that looks really intriguing, but you don't fully grasp what it is, and I think that's part of the process that they wanted to do. And when people actually watch the film, it's kind of that oh shit moment of like, oh my God, I do relate to this. Oh my God, that was weird. Oh my God, that was crazy. Oh my God, I really liked it. And
we hope it all ends with, oh my God, I really liked it.
They just described another date.
But it's been, I mean, out of no surprise. I mean, this guy and what they've done with SpectreVision, I'm sure a bunch of people here have watched their last, Mandy, which was a huge hit as well, and went around the different festivals and had a bunch of amazing reviews, and was critically acclaimed, and
keep going.
Yeah, but no, I'm just saying these guys, they know this,
producer.
they know this genre, they know what hits with their audiences and how to make a great film, and I was just stoked to be part of the journey, and I'm not surprised that it's getting great stuff for them, but it's been an honor to be part of it, and I'm excited for people to go and see it. You guys will really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Daniel, we touched on it a little bit as we were kind of going through some other points here, but do you want to talk a little more about like SpectreVision, what specifically attracted you guys to this project?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think SpectreVision sort of exists specifically to try and bring movies into the world that maybe wouldn't exist without us or without someone going to bat for them. And this is every movie we've made. It's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, or The Greasy Strangler, or or Mandy are films that no other producer would generally touch because they're difficult. They don't fit cleanly into any category. You don't know exactly, Blockbuster Video still existed. No one would know which section to put them in.
Yeah.
I think, when we read this, it gave me the same feeling as one of my very, very favorite genre films, Donnie Darko.
Oh yeah.
And it had been so long since I'd felt those feelings that I felt when I saw Donnie Darko, and I felt them when I read the script for this, and then when I talked more to Adam and understood that he was this rare combination of two types of skills. One was that he had this uncanny ability to come up with supernatural mythologies that were on par with Wes Craven. That these sort of iconic modern fairy tales.
Yeah.
But he also had the fastidiousness of a filmmaker like David Fincher. And the idea of bringing those two things together into one film, or hopefully many films, was, I think, for us, just like a holy grail kind of thing. And we hope to make many films with Adam if he's willing. So yeah, I mean, the movie is a horror film, but my God, it has so much heart and so much feeling. It's so sad, and I care deeply about the characters in it. I care deeply about Luke. And I'm afraid of Daniel.
Yeah, I never know if it's better to trick people into seeing it by leaning on how scary it is, and then they'll be shocked by how emotional it is,
Yeah.
or trick them into seeing it by explaining how it's really like a sad, emotional story, and then they'll be surprised by how scary it is. But it's definitely both.
Well, it's all of those things, and sometimes life is sad and lonely, and it's nice to be able to process that in popular entertainment.
But also really fun and cool.
It's also
scary
really,
monsters.
it is really fun and cool and scary also. I mean, you see a little bit teased at the end of the trailer, but there's some real cool monster stuff in this movie too.
Yeah. Well, I was curious about that because, again, obviously you're working from a source material, but you also now have the advantage and additional challenges of bringing something to a visual medium. Did you encounter any, come up against any particular challenges in adapting it, or did you, bring some different stuff to it because you were, again, working with something that was visual
I mean,
now?
there's two things. The book is titled "In This Way I Was Saved," and it's a very cool book. It's written entirely from Daniel's point of view.
Yes, I was reading
which is
reviews
totally
of the book.
different than the movie, and so it's all in his voice. And so that gives you a completely different viewpoint on the world. And it also doesn't have any of the, what I would call it in the movie, we have these cosmic horror elements
Yes.
that really take us into kind of a dimension of evil. And that's not in the book either. And to me, those are the kind of, I'm really into, like Dan was saying, mythological universes and trying to expand what's really going on underneath what's happening with these characters, and the book was a little bit more of a realistic slice of life novel
Sure.
in a way, and yeah, we went way more black holes and demons.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a fucking movie,
Yeah,
that's
that's
I
what you
wanna
gotta do.
I also got to say, so when we were working on the costumes and stuff with Patrick and to figure out what Daniel looks like, I was very obsessed with the color purple and violet being important to his character, but we decided not to dress him. There's a scene where he wears a beautiful suit, and we wanted to make sure not to dress him in purple so that he wouldn't look like the Joker. So we dressed him in crimson red, and then the fucking Joker movie came out in which he is wearing a red fucking suit. So there you go, you heard it here first.
You're like, man, we
Joker ripped off our brand new
Yes.
color style.
Yes. You went out of your
tricked
way
you.
to
Yeah.
make sure that he
Yeah.
didn't look like the
Yeah,
Joker.
yeah.
For a minute, you said that Daniel loved the color purple, and I thought you meant the
Oh, the
book.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel
Huge
loves
fan.
the book, The
Daniel's
Color
a
Purple.
huge Oprah Winfrey fan. Followed, trying to work
Yeah,
with her
this,
for
this
years.
imaginary boy.
Also loves Beloved.
Loves Spielberg.
Yeah.
There was a Spielberg element to the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you,
Wonderment.
Fincher wasn't enough for you. You gotta throw Spielberg in now.
yeah. You always take inspiration from other places.
Yes.
Why not? Why not Spielberg and The Color Purple?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here, so I guess my first thing is let everybody know, because you do have distribution for the film and it's coming out in December.
Yeah, December 6th. December 6th, the movie will be out. It's already available to pre-order on iTunes. So if you like are really enthused about this movie and really enthused about like what Spectrovision does, or really enthused about how awesome Patrick is, pre-order it now, because that'll only help get the word out about the movie. You also don't have to do that, but December 6th it'll be available. It will never play on Netflix, so don't wait for it to be on Netflix.
Support
I think
art,
in
everybody.
6 months it'll be on Shudder. Streaming.
Yeah, it won't be on
exclusively.
Netflix for
So
several
it won't be
years,
on
yeah.
Netflix, but it will be in a couple theaters, and it'll be anywhere you can buy a movie, and someday it'll be on Shudder.
Someday.
December 6th is the day,
And in theaters, by the way.
and in some
in
theaters.
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
them.
For those of
Los
you.
Angeles.
And I have a couple of these postcards of our cool posters. I'll give these to anybody who wants them.
Oh,
if you're
perfect.
I'm
interested.
assuming it'll be LA,
Awesome.
New York, Chicago.
So yes, December 6th is when you're going to want to look
December
for
6th. Did we say
Daniel-
December 6th?
I don't know.
12/6/19.
12/6/19.
Another way to
Yes, the,
phrase that.
the sixth day of December,
sixth day
the
of
sixth day of the
December.
12th month
That's correct.
in the year of 2019.
Yeah, it's 19 days before Christmas.
So I guess that I'll leave you then with this is what would you say that you know want people's biggest takeaway to be from this film when they do go see it on December 6th?
I want them to think it's the best horror movie they've seen since Jacob's Ladder.
I
Oh,
was just gonna say Jacob's Ladder, yeah.
okay.
I can't guarantee that they will say that,
Yeah.
but if they do,
But listen,
that
if they
would
do,
be
that
awesome.
would be great. If you do, make sure you tweet that at
Oh yeah, and if you want to
Adam
find out more about the movie, I'm on Twitter at Adam Egypt. I love talking about the process and all that, and these guys are on Twitter too.
Yeah.
If you want to,
Yeah.
or not.
Oh, yeah, sure.
or
Sure.
not. Patrick, what would you say you want people's biggest takeaway to be?
I hope they really enjoy it and go in with an open mindset and just be kind of mind blown by the time they leave. And I hope that they get to see me as an actor in a different light, in a different sort of way.
Absolutely. I think that's a
Dark
great,
light.
in a dark light, but also a light light, so we
handsome
can
light.
see your face. I don't know. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
to Adam, Daniel, and Patrick for sharing your nuggets of wisdom about Daniel Isn't Real with us here at LA Comic Con. Thank you all for coming.
you, guys.
This was great.
Thanks for hanging out.
Great.
December 6th.
Thank you, Emma. December 6th.
Fabulously
December 6th.
attended panel here. Do we still have the trailer? Can we roll it one more time, maybe?
Sure.
Do we think?
Here's the trailer again.
Yeah, should we?